No worries. Happy to oblige. About 6 probably.
At least 6. That's the first one, so there'll be others that will follow. Volume 2, then 3,
And so on.
and so on, and so forth.
All of us and everyone. Basically, a lot of people. I can't remember who exactly. But it was just about everyone. Yeah.
No, it's not that much of a worry. It was close enough to being number 1. Number 2's almost number 1.
You can almost say number 1 because it's the next number 2.
Yeah,
just
if
pretend
that other record
it
hadn't
slipped my
been
mind that
out,
it
it would have
wasn't
been
number
number 1.
Yeah.
See, so but we could talk about that song a bit, I suppose, because it didn't start off sounding anything like that, really, did it? It was more of a rock song.
No, we played
beginning.
it was like a Rolling Stones kind of rock and roll song for a while, and it didn't sound as good like that. And then it was simplified and made more homogeneous and cohesive. Yeah. Because it only had 3 chords.
An anthem. Yeah, Nips Are Getting Bigger has turned into a bit of an anthem out in the beer halls. And it's a little bit embarrassing in a way, because, we're not really trying to encourage sort of drunkenness that much, but it seems to incite that sort of thing.
It's embarrassing if you're having a quiet, sophisticated chat with a friend, say at a coffee bar, and 20 hooligans start singing it loudly in front of you. That's embarrassing.
I think I was driving across the Harbour Bridge when I first heard it on the radio, and I thought it sounded pretty good, actually. Oh, it's just the first time you hear yourself on the radio. It's like, it's a bit like being a primitive person seeing your photograph for the first time. It's always a bit surprising to find out what you really sound or look like. But it's quite a surprise. Yeah, Nips Are Getting Bigger was widely misinterpreted.
It certainly was. Some people thought it was a part of a woman's bosom, and other people thought it was drinks, which of course it probably was, and other people thought it was Japanese, had some reference to Japanese people, some sort of nationalist anthem, but it wasn't. Is that the only things people mistook it for?
I think so. They're the only ones I can remember.
There's no other different kinds of nips, are there, from what we've mentioned?
Another person thought it was about crabs.
Oh, yeah, that's
nipping you.
Interesting reading of the song.
Yeah, because they've got they've done selective breeding with crabs now, so they've got bigger nippers.
Oh, right.
Some people thought it was about that.
It's a sort of biology song. No, well, we've given up drinking. Well, I mean, we don't mean to promote drinking as such, but it does look that way a bit, because we have had a few songs that have mentioned drinking in some respect, but it usually means drinking water. So, well, it does now.
But I guess you could say that.
Water.
I guess you could say all the drinking songs have gone on to our Greatest Hits Volume 1 album.
I think it's probably true, actually, because at that time we were staying at Macy's all the time. It's this cheap rock and roll hotel in Melbourne, and the rooms were so terrible you had to hang around the pool room all night after you'd done a gig somewhere, playing pool and having the occasional glass of beer and then a glass of water and a glass of beer, and you'd end up being there all night. The sun would be coming up through Greedy's bloodshot eyes, and not our eyes. We were just drinking water, but his were bloodshot that week. I think it had happened too many times, and I believe he had a few goes with John Swan.
Oh, it might have something to do with the melody is a fairly odd sort of melody. Maybe it just took a while to drum it into people's heads.
Didn't some Melbourne musicians were playing it on their piano and they couldn't work out the chord progression or something, because it had a really hard chord progression, really fancy.
And you can't really
play piano to it.
Flat notes on a piano either, because it's usually they're all tuned up properly.
So that's something to be proud of.
No, it wasn't really a good period for the band at all. Yeah, well, it was pretty sort of. We were sort of we sort of went into doing a second album before we were prepared for it, I think.
We rushed it a little bit.
And that was, yeah. And we were touring a lot, driving. Seemed to spend most of our time driving up and down the Hume Highway in combi vans around that time. So it was kind of fun, but looking back, it was pretty hard work in those days.
And we had no electricity for a while in the recording studio.
That's right, yeah. It makes it difficult to get stuff down on tape when there's no power there.
Yeah.
So by the time we got around to recording that record, we were all a bit anxious and sick of hanging around because the studio hadn't been finished.
No.
Yeah. Some of them seem to wear a bit better than others. I must confess I'm getting a little bit sick of singing Come Around, but I still like singing Nips Are Getting Bigger. Because Come Around sort of... it's a weird song to sing. Sometimes you forget where you are in it for some reason. And you're not sure if you're singing it, because it is such a sort of odd chord progression that you sort of sometimes you're not sure if you're singing it in tune or not. When you come in the wrong key or something and it doesn't sound very good. Some songs you can keep playing them, every night, and you can make them a bit different, but Come Around you can't really play around with it that much. So it can get a little bit tiresome, I guess.
Sometimes we drop songs for a little while too, and then you start playing them again, and it's quite refreshing.
Come Around, yeah, we changed that a couple of times actually. Put a new introduction on it and everything.
I think Martin picked the two covers we've done as singles.
It wasn't really a case of picking them, because we were doing heaps of covers at the time, and Cameron Allen just thought that one would be a good one to record, even though I didn't even know the words. If you listen to it carefully, you can hear that I didn't know the words when I recorded it. Most of it's sort of gibberish, which is fairly amusing for it to get recorded and released in that sort of form. So if any, we've made an attempt at sort of deciphering the gibberish on the lyric sheet, but it's not really that accurate.
Because
that's not quite true anyway, because it's now on the Greatest Hits album.
It's on the Greatest Hits album, that's true. No, but I mean, it is good to have the occasional single. We've had 3 actually that haven't been on albums. There's Apocalypso and Working for the Man and Romeo and Juliet. I mean, it's just an interesting thing that people can occasionally get a single that they don't have to buy the album with it on. Well, Politics was very popular that year, and no, it's just it's a good silly way of having a slightly political song. And we have made vague allusions to things in the past, and that's it's not exactly, it's a fairly black sort of approach. Oh, it just seemed like an amusing thing to have, really hopeless drunken Santa Claus that's worried about the end of the world all the time.
He'd be out of a gig then, wouldn't
he? Yeah, that's what he's worried about. He'd lose his job. Have to stop making toys. It's hard to say, really.
I don't think they did understand.
Probably
not.
I
didn't.
No.
I didn't understand what it was about for a long time when I first heard it.
Yeah, I suppose it's hard should put a little explanatory sheet with it, explaining it, an essay about the thematic content of the lyrics. That's a good idea. Must do that in the future.
Not many people sit down and think, I'm going to write a single. I have heard of instances where people do that, but we've never really worked like that. I mean, when we have, the result has always been pretty appalling. When we try and
write into order.
Singles, they always sound really contrived, which is what they are.
Yeah, you've just got to write whatever rubbish comes into your head, and hopefully if it's good, it might be a single.
Yeah.
But some good things aren't appropriate for single because they might have filthy lyrics or something.
Most American bands write singles pretty deliberately, I think.
I think so. They tailor them a bit more to the
city's really an obvious
to the market.
As soon as you hear it, you go.
Yeah, you select a musical form that's popular, and you get a lyrical sort of hook it's sort of probably been used before in some way. It's kind of pre-designed to be popular.
Something that's been successfully done before. But we never do that.
No, we never do that. We do exactly the opposite. I wrote it at a Bongos gig in Minneapolis. Bongos are this New York band that play a lot of bongos and have interesting songs. So that's when I wrote it. I don't know where it popped out of, the grey cupboard. Well, Bjorn and Anna are both Viking types, aren't they? Well, that country they come from, that's where the Vikings came from. So they're virtually Vikings, and they look like it. Both got blonde hair. They're both good sailors and good with an axe. So they're obviously Vikings, and Peter loves ABBA. He loves their music and their personalities, and he was pretty horrified when Bjorn and Anna broke up, and that's what the song's about. It's about the breakup of their relationship and what a sad affair it is. That's probably one of our musically most complex songs, isn't it? It's got hard chords and chords that have no name virtually in them. Oh, I've quite liked some of their tunes. They're good pop songs, good radio pop songs, Euro pop. Wouldn't say I'd have every record they've put out, but I like some of their stuff. Most of them, yeah. 9/10 probably. No, he genuinely likes ABBA.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit of...
Usually when you see him with his Walkman on, if you sort of tear it off his head and have a listen, he's normally listening to ABBA.
Yeah. ABBA or Boney M.
Mm. Nah, it's it's written around the title, really. Just it seemed like a good idea to, how we were saying we never wrote deliberate hits before. Well, now I'm contradicting. No, I just sort of wrote it around the pun, I guess, or the title. I had the tune. It's not that significant lyrically. It's just a sing-along song. I don't mind awards. It's always, good to get. It's sort of like, especially if they're made out of some sort of precious material. You can always, melt them down or...
Yeah. You should get books maybe as well. It's on the front of your car, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, but
Welded to your bonnet.
I sold that car and I forgot to take the award off the front. So someone else has probably got it.
Yeah, Martin always welds his award to the bonnet of his car. Yeah, awards are good. I mean, they don't make you incredibly happy or think that the world has changed or anything. Because, usually you get awards because a song's been popular with the public on the radio or whatever. You don't just get them if the song's not popular at all.
And you can't say that it's the best song that came out in 1981. You'd be stupid to believe it.
No, you don't believe the exact wording of the awards. You just vaguely feel good about it. You sense that it's
good for your parents too, because it gives them something sort of tangible to sort of, because for a long time they really felt we were just wasting our time, and when they can see
not earning a proper
someone
living,
hand you a big ugly looking silver thing, it's fairly significant for them, more so than us in a way.
Mum's got most of our gold records on her walls. I just give them to her.
Yeah, my mum likes those too.
Good trophies. A 2-volume, 3-volume album. No, I haven't got any specific plans to put any albums out or anything.
Reg has been doing a lot of drawings and paintings over the last year. He's got an exhibition. When's it starting? In
July. I think, yeah, late July. But we've all got a few songs. They sort of mount up. If you get if enough sort of mount up that seem reasonable, we might do something with them. We've had a go at writing some group songs and never seem to turn out that satisfying, really, do they? About the most successful one would have been Looking for Bird off Cats and Dogs.
Yeah.
That was more or less a group effort, and that one turned out quite well. But it just seems a bitty way of doing it sometimes. Seem to write better separately, and then maybe the band might come up with the odd idea on them. But
Yeah, the band always ends up contributing something, you know, just in the performance of it. So in that sense, you know, there is a little bit of collaboration once we get to record it. But I think we all just write fairly. I think that, you know, the best stuff we've done is just like the songy things that work on a acoustic guitar. I mean, a lot of bands get into a rehearsal studio and
work things out.
You know, someone will start playing a bass riff or something, but we've never really. Well, we've done it a couple of times, but
yeah, we're not a big jamming.
It's too
band,
hard, you know, just standing around heavy guitar and stuff.
Seems to suit some bands to write like that, but I find it difficult doing it like that.
It's all right if you got a really keen rhythm section that don't mind sort of bashing away for hours on end, but ours are pretty lazy, you know. They sort of
Oh, he must be winning now, I think. He's winning the odd occasional winnings at the occasional round.
He's won a few hearts lately.
Hearts, yeah, that's what they are.
And he's sort of going through his second adolescence at the moment. He's got a lot of girls following him around and ringing him up. He usually spends most of his time hiding from them. That funny story about we were doing a rehearsal at the Horden, and Greedy was walking along the street just near the Moore Park, and these girls started running after him. And Peter and I were just getting out of the car, and we saw all this happen. And we saw Greedy running down the street, and these two girls running after him. And what had happened, he dropped a big sort of wad of notes out of his pocket, and they were just trying to, you know, return this money to him. And
he was running away.
He was running away. I don't know what he was anticipating, you know, whether he thought they were going to sort of molest him or something, but it was a pretty funny thing to see. No, I don't think so. He would be, really. He's a great singer, but I don't think I really have a favourite singer. Not one that I mean, I've got lots of them, you know. Yeah. But I do admire Roy Orbison enormously.
We actually considered it at one time vaguely, and we never.
I remember why we didn't know, because Van Halen put it out.
That's right.
About around the same time, and we'd
considered it before
ages.
that, I think, but we just never got around to it.
But yeah, Roy Orbison's songs are kind of good because they sort of suit us, because they're sort of like the same similar kind of rockabilly pop sort of crossover that we sort of like to produce ourselves in a way. I think maybe that's why we used to do other Roy Orbison songs too, didn't we? What were some of the other ones?
Those are the only two I recall of his. We've only done the two, Romeo and Juliet. Those are the only two we've recorded.
I think that's a better sounding record or recording. Because like I said, when we were doing Romeo and Juliet, you know, we didn't really know it that well. We just went in and bashed it down. I still don't know what all the words are to it. But, you know, we spent quite a lot of time on Working for the Man. Yeah, it's pretty slick.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, it's more fun doing
originals
doing your own songs here than doing covers in a way.
We've already demoed about nearly 20 songs for our new album already. And we probably, by the time we get to do it, we'll probably have at least 30 songs. So, I don't know.
Plenty of work doing those.
I mean, there are heaps of songs I'd like to cover, but, you know, it's, you know, if you, there's not much point, really. Unless it's something you really think should be given another go.
Yeah, like as a single, like something you really like that would make a good single, but actually doing a whole album of it, I can't see the point of that.
Bit of a, you know, leave that to Julie Anthony and people like that. They do such a good job.
Yeah.
Oh, Elvis himself, he was very quiet during the whole thing.
He's quite reserved. He was friendly and quite.
He's a nice guy. We were more anxious to just whack it down and go out and have some dinner and, you know, have a few drinks, which was when we really started to enjoy ourselves.
Have a chat to Elvis.
It's almost like, you know, we recorded it and that was it, and it was done. You know, then we went out and had
Yeah, it was a
some
good,
sushi.
quick job, wasn't it? It only took about a day, half
Yeah.
a day or something.
Yeah, Elvis was really funny too, because it's unusual to find a really punctual person in this business, and he was right. He was there at 12 o'clock on the dot when said he was going to be there. You know, we really didn't expect him to be there till sort of late in the afternoon, but he's kind of he's an unusual sort of character for the
He's not as,
he's not typical of
he
the
gets
kind of
made
people
out
you
to
run
be
into.
a little bit surly by the rock press a lot.
Yeah.
But he's quite affable.
Yeah. More and more all the time, I'd say, wouldn't you, Reg?
Yeah, and it varies, from member to member too. Like Martin's, probably you had a part in the production of your own record, of his solo record. It was a good experience. Peter's pretty keen on production, and he's actually producing other people. Producing Peter Walsh from The Apartments. Did a single for them in England recently, and a single here as well.
Yeah, once you get over the sort of thing of wanting to listen to everything really loud through the monitors in a studio, because most things sound reasonable,
Yeah.
and you start to be a little bit more critical and objective, and you start mixing on the small speakers a bit more. It's a much better way to sort of fine tune, things as far as production goes. Once you get over the excitement of like having it all loud, and then you can sort of be a bit more sort of selective about what you use and what you don't use. So I think everyone's become a little bit more sort of, I don't know,
aware of production.
Au fait with the
values,
techniques.
Yeah,
lately.
you pick up more as you go along. Yeah, it's the basic sort of theology, spiritualism, isn't it? It's mainly greedy. I think I only wrote a few of the words and some of the verses. It was actually written as a country and western song originally, and because it had a scary kind of sound to it, the music, the producers actually suggested to Greedy that he write some more, scary, spiritual, religious words about death. So he went into the toilet, and an hour later he came back with a new set of words. Yeah, it was called Let It Got Lost originally. And just whacked another word in and changed the verses around a bit and had a completely different song. Well, we all liked it. We thought it was a nice song. He seemed to be... It's a fairly, serious song. It's fairly sort of got sad lyrics. I think he must have been going for a trough in his romantic life at the time or something. Having some problems. So he wrote this very sensitive song. No, I've never been there. No, I wouldn't like to go really, because it'd probably spoil it, wouldn't it? I've seen it on TV anyway. It's probably spoil the song if I went.
We saw all those neat Egyptian sculptures in London a few weeks ago anyway.
Yeah, well,
They've got all the best stuff
yeah,
anyway.
all the good stuff in Egypt's not there. It's been carted off
It's either
elsewhere.
been submerged or carried off to other museums.
It's in America or in London, so you don't have to go to Egypt to see that stuff. They probably only got replicas left.
Put it in a time capsule.
Thought it would have been in one already.
Oh, I think now with all our modern technology, you don't really need time capsules anymore. You've got your digital sort of mastering and all that, so things can be recorded on numbers. Don't have to bury them in lead cases anymore.
No, just put them in a computer.
Still a nice idea though.
They'd probably start just dancing ecstatically as soon as they heard it. Because they wouldn't be used to music by then, would they? Be surprising.
Too hard.
It's a pretty hard question. I always like If You Leave Me. I sort of like that song. It's one of my favourites.
Oh, you sort of like different songs for different reasons, I guess. I like moving on to new things anyway, and that's not a very good thing to be saying about the greatest hits record, I suppose. But I mean, they're all there,
Well, the ones that, I thought probably If You Leave Me was, did quite well really. That got to number 4, I think, so it couldn't have been much bigger. And it sold a lot of copies even though it didn't go to number 1. And,
I was a bit disappointed Apocalypso wasn't a bigger hit. But I mean, it's one of those things, it was a little bit sort of obtuse, I suppose.
Yeah, Martin arranged Apocalypso, it was we had a different sort of arrangement and feel for it originally. He came up with the more savage treatment. Well, we hopefully will be recording it in probably July or August. But I mean, it depends on what sort of touring we have to do, where we fit it in exactly. And it takes a couple of months after you've recorded it before it comes out, so it's hard to say, who knows.
It's on the way though.
It's on the
Already
way,
working
yeah.
on it.
It'll be out presently. At least one,
Oh, at least.
possibly a lot more.
Yeah, probably 6.
Yeah, 6 is a good round number. Half a dozen. Thank you, we're very pleased to oblige.